Una de las rutas más fascinantes es la ruta del Maratón de Nueva York. Absolutamente los 5 boroughs de Manhattan, de la Gran Manzana, de ese lugar especial que todos queremos conocer, recorrer, caminar. Y estar las 26.2 millas del maratón es una cosa fascinante. Y eso es lo que hacemos todos los corredores cada año en el primer domingo de septiembre, correr los 5 boroughs uno por uno, ¿no? En Staten Island, nos pasamos por Brooklyn, nos metemos por Queens, volvemos a Manhattan, nos metemos al Bronx, volvemos a Central Park y terminamos allá cansados ya, pero con todo el entusiasmo del mundo. Y eso se trata cuando nosotros corremos la que es la ruta del maratón. Estamos en lo que es Creativos, el podcast del Club de Corredores Vivir-Creativo y su multisport. Ahora estamos incluyendo no solamente el correr y el caminar, sino también el nadar y la bicicleta. Qué bueno que estás ahí con nosotros en este programa especial de los jueves, que está absolutamente dedicado a correr. Y en esta ocasión queremos hablarte de qué hacer en el Maratón de Nueva York, el maratón que va a ocurrir en lo que es el 5-7 de noviembre, el domingo. Comenzamos temprano, desde las 4 o 5, tiene uno que estar allá en el Berrazano, en el puente Berrazano, preparándose directamente, haciendo el calentamiento necesario, tomando las comidas suaves, esperando el momento, haciendo las reflexiones, revisando la ruta completa, preparándonos para correr las 26.2 millas que comienza ya en Staten Island, en el Berrazano Bridge. Desde allá comienza esa ruta maravillosa y de eso le voy a hablar. ¿Qué técnicas, qué podemos hacer durante todo el proceso de lo que es la ruta del Maratón de Nueva York, 26.6 millas, de este extraordinario maratón popular que en el 2022 va a ser uno de los maratones más importantes? Posiblemente llegamos a 50,000 como antes de la pandemia, posiblemente hagamos 55,000 o 60,000, quién sabe. Pero definitivamente estar en el Maratón de Nueva York es una cosa fascinante, es una cosa extraordinaria a la que nosotros, en el caso mío, que lo corrí 3 veces y uno lo corrí, digamos, a nivel virtual, porque bueno, en el 2020 no se podía correr el maratón porque teníamos la pandemia del COVID-19. Pero qué bueno que estás ahí y que vamos a correr nosotros y qué temporada de maratón. Este es el doctor Piña, estamos esperando al coach Andy que se prepare y venga con un tema especial para nosotros, digamos, trabajarlo. Ya estás preparado, ya has hecho tu entrenamiento, estás haciendo tus carreras largas, estás haciendo tus diferentes carreras de entrenamiento de alta velocidad, estás haciendo tu tempo, estás haciendo tu farlek, ya tú tienes un grupo, una comunidad, estás en el Club de Corredores Vivir-Creativo, está en cualquier club de los cientos de clubes que hay en Nueva York preparándose en la temporada de maratón. Tú vas a encontrar en cada área de los parques, en el Courtland, en Brooklyn, en Prospect Park, en el Central Park, vas a encontrar a los atletas ya preparándose. Estamos en septiembre, octubre, quedan casi 2 meses para completar el entrenamiento físico que se necesita, trabajar las millas, incorporar los cambios técnicos, trabajar tu velocidad, situarte en la paz mental para correr el maratón de Nueva York. No es cosa fácil. Entonces, la pregunta es, ¿qué es la ruta que vamos a correr? ¿Y cómo yo puedo desde ahora visualizar la ruta? ¿Y cuáles son las dificultades técnicas que tiene la ruta del maratón de Nueva York? De eso te voy a hablar brevemente. La ruta del maratón de Nueva York son, digamos, todos los boroughs, todos los condados, y se va a hacer un recorrido de las 26.2 millas. Es un recorrido para conocer cada bloque, cada espacio, cada comunidad, cada etnia de lo que es, y cada calor, cada cultura, cada música, cada pedacito de lo que es absolutamente Nueva York, y que tú puedas, digamos, disfrutarlo con toda la intención que digamos, que se requiere. De Nueva York es el maratón especial, digamos, ya tenemos a Andy, que bueno que está ahí con nosotros, estoy hablando de las otras maratón. Digamos, ese espacio, si lo puedes mute, Andy, sería bueno, si lo puedes mute, entonces ya estás adentro en el maratón y debes conocer, en el maratón tú vas a conocerte a ti mismo, va a conocer tu destreza, vas a dar lo que ha sido el producto de 3-4 meses de entrenamiento, absolutamente, y al mismo tiempo lograr una de las metas fundamentales físicas y espirituales más importantes de los seres humanos. El 1% de la comunidad mundial corre el Maratón de Nueva York, un 1%, o sea, bueno, tú quieres ser un 1%, puedes serlo tratando de prepararte y correr en cualquiera de los clubes, especialmente el Club de Corredores Creativos nuestro, el Maratón de Nueva York, y convertirte entonces el 1%. Entonces, ya estás listo, estás preparado para todo, entonces vamos a atravesar mentalmente la ruta y ver los aspectos técnicos que debe uno hacer a la hora, digamos, de correr la ruta del maratón. De eso te voy a hablar. Vamos a introducir inmediatamente a Andy, que ya está aquí con nosotros, y vamos a continuar inmediatamente presentando. Andy, ¿cómo te encuentras? ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien.
Estamos de nuevo en CoCrea Creativos Multideporte, correr, nadar, bicicleta. Andy.
Sí, ¿cómo está, doctor Piña? Aquí estamos bien. Estamos aquí, no estoy en Nueva York, estoy en Orlando hoy. So voy a estar aquí en el weekend, so voy a estar aquí en Orlando. Pero estoy contento de estar aquí contigo y voy a ver si, no sé si podemos tratar de hacer esto hoy, pero voy a tratar de hablar en inglés, entonces, y tú puedes hablar en español, pero no sé si eso es una buena idea o no, pero estoy pensando hacer eso porque el español mío está como
It's
medio...
not that good. You want to do it bilingual. You know, whatever way you feel is going to be good for the people, because most of the community in New York, in the United States, they speak English, and there's a lot of guys who are runners who really are bilingual Latinos who want to get the knowledge and the information needed just to get ready, to get prepared, to be trained, and then run the New York City Marathon. What I'm going to do also is just to present the routes of the marathon, how you do it. I just divided the routes in 3 parts, and then just to focus on what's the need of and the strategy that most of the running needs when they are in the routes. Because
Yes.
you're ready, you're prepared, you have all the knowledge, you have all the training, you have diet complete, your body's ready, what you're gonna do and how you're gonna face the 26.2 miles. You're gonna face it like a town by town, boroughs by borough. You're gonna face it kilometer after kilometer. You're gonna face it a mile, or you're gonna do the whole 5, 10K, each point according to the water stop. What is it that you're gonna do? ¿Qué es lo que vas a hacer en el maratón? ¿Cómo vas a enfrentar la ruta completa del maratón? Tú lo vas a enfrentar por millas, por kilómetros, la vas a enfrentar por boros, la vas a enfrentar de acuerdo a cómo tú te sientas. Y hay aspectos técnicos que cada una de las áreas de las partes de las diferentes condados con sus puentes que vas a tener que tener unas condiciones particulares y una dimensión técnica de conocimiento clave para hacerlo. Your turn, Andy.
Yeah. For me, you know, I've obviously done the marathon several times already, and you know, and I've made my errors and mistakes when I was going on the trail. But I think this year, one of the things that I've learned is to try to break up the marathon into pieces. And I think one of the things that helped me out a lot before was breaking it up into 10-mile parts. So what I look at is I focus on the first 10 miles and focus on reaching the first 10 miles. And then I look at the second 10 miles, and then the 6 miles, which is the 10K, is where I try to speed up the process. So I'm going to break it up into those pieces, focusing on the first 10 miles. But before that, even before that, I want to make sure that I am prepared in my conditioning, and I don't do the mistakes that I made before, which is not resting properly before the race. So I want to make sure that I taper and I rest during the process before the run. And then during the run, my strategy is to focus every 10 miles. I know that when I ran the marathon last year, I think one of the most exciting boroughs in the city was Brooklyn. I mean, all the boroughs were great, but there was like a big energy in Brooklyn. And one mistake or several mistakes people make is that you get very excited, you get very pumped when you get to that borough and you start running really fast. And then after you get through the borough, reality sets in. You still have 16 miles to go, and you better not have wasted a lot of energy in Brooklyn getting excited because you still have a lot to go. So it's good to take in the energy and to take in the excitement, and it pumps you up. But you have to stay with your strategy. You have to stay with your pace and not overextend yourself, because you're going to need the leg strength to continue through the run.
Exactly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to go less mile per miles. And I'm going to divide the routes of the marathon specifically in 3 parts. The first part is going to be from mile 1 to mile 2, which is in the bridge, the Verrazano Bridge. It's where the excitement is, it's where everybody is what you're waiting for. This is the biggest moment of your life, of your training. You are there. You know, everything you have done, you have taken the bus, the taxi, the train, whatever it is, and you are with your club, you are with your people. And the first 2 miles, you believe it's the best time of your life. So now the strategy is that first 2 miles, you have to go slow. You know, the negative split, the positive split, this is the moment just to think about those first 1-2 miles. Una vez que tú estás en la primera, en el puente, que acaba de comenzar las 2 primeras millas, que estás allá arriba, que ya comenzaste, que estás entusiasmado, esas 2 primeras millas son vitales. Todo el mundo lo va a correr a 8 y a 7, a 5, y se va a bajar como un chele para abajo en lo que es el Verrazano Bridge, en el bridge de Verrazano, y se va a alocar, y tú vas a perder absolutamente demasiada energía esa primera 2 millas. O sea, the idea is like take it easy. It's the first 2 miles. Just enjoy, be careful, you know, don't go to 7-minute miles, don't go to 9-minute miles. Just go to your pace, the pace that you're training, the pace that you want to do. You're going to do like 10, or you're going to do 11, or whatever it is, 7. Just go to 8 minutes mile. Take it easy. Always start slow, because it's very important, because you're going to have all the energy, all the enthusiasm, and then you're going to need that. You're going to need that for your legs at the last 10K, because the last 10K is what make the marathon worthwhile. O sea, lo más importante son los últimos 10 kilómetros, que son los 6.2 millas que vas a necesitar al final. Pero eso es lo que tienes que entender. Las primeras 2 millas, cuando comienzas, que ya está cansado de esperar, que te ha tomado todo el café del mundo y te llega tu turno y que vas a meterte al correr, tú sabes que saliendo en el Verrazano Bridge, en Staten Island, ese puente completo hasta llegar a la segunda parte de la ruta, que es el Brooklyn Queens, tiene que tener mucho cuidado. ¿Qué te pareció a ti? What you thought about those first 2 miles during the New York City Marathon and your experience, Andy?
Well, you know, I think that's a really valid point what you're saying there. I think a lot of times too, when I ran the first couple of miles, I saw people running really quickly, crossing that bridge, and very energized and pumped and going. But what I realized too is that when I got deeper into the race, a lot of those people who had been going extremely fast during that first part began to slow down and began to walk. A lot of people began to walk. And I think going slow at the very beginning is a very, very important strategy to do. Because you can, you know, that's where the negative splits come in, and that's where your training that you've done prior to that, where you're testing yourself during the practice runs, is going to help you do that. So I think it's very important to see that the first 2 miles, to do that in a very slow and steady pace, so that you can progressively go from mile to mile. So the first 2 miles, I think it's good. I mean, my experience last year, or the year before, wasn't a good one. And I've always, you know, I've stated this a couple of times before, where I did a leg workout 1 week before the marathon. So the first 2 miles that I did, my legs were gone. I didn't have any legs. And I had to basically drag myself through the thing. But that was a learning experience that I think I've shared before with you guys.
It's very important to know that the next step is going to be what I call part 2 of the route of the New York City Marathon. Es la segunda parte de lo que llamo la ruta del maratón, y debes pensarla en ese sentido. La primera parte, las 2 primeras millas en el puente, estás arriba, estás gozando, estás chulo, tiene toda la energía, va como un chele. la van a necesitar. So it's great, but you're gonna need them later on. So part 2, it's about the first 15 miles, which is mile 3 to 9:15, which is Queens, the borough of Queens, and Brooklyn, and then Queens. And it's daylight. It's all the people, and it's the community, and it's the voice of the cheering, of the excitement, and you're good. All right. So Brooklyn is about the excitement. Again, it's daylight. You're good. You're ready. You have to check the temperature, the weather. You have to at least think, what can I eat if you need to eat something, because you're gonna be, for the next couple of minutes, an hour, it's gonna be the mile 3 and 15. So you have to be very careful when you go through Brooklyn. But Brooklyn is gonna take your breath away. Te va a quitar el ánimo, el espíritu, tú vas a sentir todo el entusiasmo, pero estás recordando que estás planteando las primeras 15 millas del maratón. Tú estás adentro de las primeras 15 millas que vas a recorrer completamente Brooklyn, y entonces va a llamar, Queens is what's gonna we call a block party. It's completely a party. People's gonna cheer you up. People gonna give you drinks, gonna give you cocktails, gonna give you high five. It's gonna be the best moment. You're gonna enjoy it. Plus, you're gonna hear the whole music, the whole town, everything that is good about Queens and Brooklyn. It's completely insane. Mira, when you get to Queens, tú vas a estar completamente loco y entusiasmado. Y obviamente, cuando tú llegas a Queens, al final de Queens, antes de llegar a Queensboro, es donde vas a tener tiempo de respirar. Donde todo el mundo, tú ves que todo el mundo está cansado porque se jodió durante todo el proceso de la milla 3:15, las primeras 10 millas en Brooklyn, las últimas 5 millas en Queens, que tú te vas a descojonar completamente. Y tú vas, cuando tú llegas al Queensboro, tú sabes que tú no vas a estar cansado, porque ya nadie te va a ver. When everybody's watching you, seeing what you do, what you got, where everybody's cheering you up, is excited about you. It's when your focus is going to go to 11, you're going to go to 9, you're going to go to 8, and you're going to lose yourself in the first 3 to 15 miles, and then game over. Because then it comes part number 3. I'm going to speak about part 3 after Andy he take his takes about Brooklyn and Queens, the first 3 and 15 miles. ¿Qué te pareció a ti? ¿Qué sucedió? ¿Qué significó para ti, digamos, la milla 3 a 15, Brooklyn, going through Brooklyn and going through Queens? What's your experience?
I'll be honest. I mean, the way Dr. Piña is explaining it is very accurate. It's probably, I would say, for me, was the most exciting part of the race. In Brooklyn, the people kind of narrow the street down. Usually you got these streets that are wide and people on the side. But in Brooklyn, the people created like a tight tunnel. And the energy level that was there, it gives you goosebumps. You got signs, you got families, you got music, you got, and my favorite music is like house club music, and they play that there, and it's exciting. And I felt the energy going through that. So when I experienced that and I went through that, I was pumped. I was going really fast. And you have to look at if you're wearing a watch, look at your pace. But the other thing is also, you got to enjoy that though, because it's really something that you got to take in and enjoy, but keep in mind your strategy and don't exert yourself, because you know that you have more to go. But definitely enjoy Brooklyn. It's a fun place, and enjoy the energy and everything. And I had a great time when I was going through that. It was one of the best times throughout the whole race, and going through Queens. But Brooklyn was definitely it. And I think I felt it, like after I passed Brooklyn and I passed Queens, I began to feel my legs locking more, a little bit more tightness. So it's very, very important that you take in the excitement, learn and enjoy, but keep your strategy.
Exactly. I remember that for my first marathon, I went with 2 horses. I went with Karina Reike and went with Maria, and they said, "Oh, you're gonna take the pace. You're the man. You're ready. So let's go 9 minutes the minutes the mile." I got you. I follow you, baby, man. I went all over, all the place. I went through the Verrazano Bridge. I went to Brooklyn and Queens, and then when I get to the what I call the third part of the route is the First Avenue. I was done. I was hiding. Yo me estaba escondiendo de estas mujeres que estaban atrás como loco, y yo dije, pero déjeme en paz, déjame yo coger mi pulso, let me breathe and get my pace, you know. And they were crazy, and they just went like ballistic. While in what I call part 3, which is mile 16 after the Queensboro, you went Brooklyn and Queens, you left the excitement, it's still daylight, then you go into the First Avenue. For me, the first time was the most difficult part of the whole marathon. It's like, it's 16, 20, it's 4 miles, very heavy miles, because now you're tired, now you're consumed completely. Now you didn't know what you do at the Verrazano Bridge. Now you don't know what happened the first 15 miles. You're done at in the first avenue. So when you get to after the Queensboro Bridge, enjoy Brooklyn, enjoy Queens, but enjoy your pace. Stay quiet. Be careful. Enjoy yourself, because when you go after Queensboro and you got nothing, you are going to the wall. Tú vas para la pared. Tú vas para la milla 20. Y la 20 milla es el Willis Bridge. Tú vas a meter la parte más sombría, la más difícil, que es la parte del Bronx. Cuando tú estés en la milla 20, ya tú estás done. O sea, si tú has consumido all your energy, Brooklyn, Queens, Verrazano Bridge, and at First Avenue, and you haven't save your energy, you're done. So you have to be very careful when you get out of Queens going to the First Avenue. Now, if you get to pace yourself, be okay, enjoy the people, and then you are in First Avenue, you can enjoy the people, because it's beautiful avenue. It's wide. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of water, a lot of health. You can have, you for some reason you don't feel it, and you have some pain, you can stop in a medical tents and you can ask for some aspirin or whatever they give you for the pain. You can have some massage and things like that. I did at the end of the mile 20, in my second marathon, I think, yo pude quedarme un masaje que me dio un grupo mexicano ahí a la entrada del Willis, al final de la milla 20, exactamente ahí. Me rejuveneció y pude yo caminar, entonces meterme ya para la Quinta Avenida. So, es importante que esas 4 millas, después que sales de Queen, que tú la tomes en cuenta, porque al llegar ya al Bronx va a ser absolutamente difícil si ya no estás preparado. So, First Avenue, which I call the part number 3, is very important, because it's where you think I'm gonna make it or it's gonna break me, I'm gonna get my PR or not. And it's where your training will kick in. If you have it, if you were really well prepared, those 4 miles it's gonna be easy, because you can just relax. It's a lot of people, because now you are in Manhattan going to the Bronx, and you're ready then for the next, what I call the Bronx and Central Park, the last 10K. ¿Qué te pareció a ti la primera avenida, Andy, después de salir de la Brooklyn and Queens, de la maravilla, the excitement of Brooklyn and Queens? What was your experience with the First Avenue?
Well, First Avenue was is like a distant memory to me. I think during that time, I spent a lot of time talking to yourself. I mean, sometimes if you could just hear the conversations that you have with yourself in your mind as you're talking, because I was thinking, okay, my family is there, my friends are there. I got to finish this race. For me, my experience was I was slowing down, but I said I have to finish this race because my family is there, and so I did a lot of talking with myself during that period of time. But the First Avenue is like a distant memory. I don't recall it too well. I recall more when I hit the Bronx. And I recall when I was trying to connect to Fifth Avenue. And that was, to me, was one of the hardest parts of the race, because I really had no more energy. Like, my legs were locking up, my hips were locking up. And it was a matter of pushing myself to the finish line. But First Avenue is a time where, you go through there. And from my experiences, it was something that I don't remember that well. but I remember mostly the Bronx. And that's where I really began to fight myself to get through the race at that time.
Yes, and then we get to what we call the last 10K. So everything you've done, or you are dieting, you're drinking, you're pacing yourself through the whole process. During the first 20 miles, it's just to go and do the last 6.2 miles, which is 26 miles. It's the last 10K. Your last 10K, it starts in Bronx, going to Central Park, and that's your goal. Central Park is the key. It's gonna get you medal. You're gonna be the 1% of the runner who does it, and this is the moment that you're waiting for. So Bronx and the Central Park is key. You're gonna get, the idea is just to get from the Bronx to Manhattan and go to the Fifth Avenue. Once you are in the Fifth Avenue, and you have seen the Fifth Avenue being running the 1 mile, and you've been going into the different final places of the different races, and you believe that you're gonna do the same, you're gonna do that, it's gonna be easy to go the six last mile, going to the Fifth Avenue and then going to Central Park, and you're gonna go around east and west and then north and east again, and you're gonna get lost in Columbus Avenue, and you're gonna believe that it's gonna be easy for you. It's not gonna be easy. Nosotros, lo importante es que cuando tú llegas al Bronx y al Parque Central y tú tienes ya tus 10 últimas millas preparadas, las últimas, tú dices, bueno, yo estoy en el 20 millas, si más o menos llegué respirando, yo puedo fácilmente hacer esas 6 millas. Las 6 millas son esas 6 millas, es la que es uno de los más difíciles completamente. Aunque te metas en lo que es la quinta avenida, que no va a ser esa quinta avenida que tú estás acostumbrado a hacer la primera milla, o de las carreras y sus finales adentro de Central Park, que tú crees que te metes inmediatamente al minuto, llegaste a la recta final. En el caso del maratón, tú vas a tener que correr la quinta avenida, vas a tener que meterte hacia del este al oeste, va a tener que subir de nuevo al norte, y cuando tú veas finalmente la milla 25, que tú veas finalmente la milla 25, tú te presines y tú crees que estés vivo, es que tú vas entonces a respirar. But you're going to remember, when you get to mile 25, it's the last mile of the marathon. You already have 24s of something. It's going to be very difficult if you're not trained, if you haven't drunk enough, if you haven't eaten enough during the whole process of the 26.2 miles. So you have to be very technical in the last 6 miles, which is the 10K. Of course, what happened when you finish, and then I'm gonna let Andy talk about the Bronx and Central Park, and then we're gonna go to the end, to the end of the route, which is the Central Park, the taverns on the green, where all the athletes finish. Andy, el micrófono, a mute. Okay.
Yes. The Fifth Avenue run, for me, but my experience, the two last year was, everything was daylight during the day. And one of the things that I wanted to accomplish was to try to get to the finish line when there was still daylight. But because I struggled and I made the errors that I made, the race, when I got to Fifth Avenue, it was already dark. It was already nighttime. And that's when, like Dr. Piña mentioned there, that's where you have to, like they say in English, you have to suck it up. And you have to understand that last 6 miles are going to seem very challenging. After you run the first 20 miles, you're thinking that because you only have 6 miles left, that maybe perhaps you'll be okay, but they're tough. And that's where your training and the homework that you've done prior to the marathon is going to come in handy. That's why it's so important for a lot of people to do a lot of the practice runs before the marathon, because you want to see where you're going to be hungry, where you might be dehydrated, where your weaknesses are, what mile your weaknesses are in, aware of your strengths, and you can strategize yourself in terms of planning out what you're going to do. So that's why those practice runs, a lot of people that we practice with don't like running in Central Park. They don't like the hills. They don't like those different things. But those are very, very important practices. And you want to have enough leg strength to finish the last 10K. And that's why the whole idea of starting slow and having a steady pace throughout the whole process is very, very important. But those last 6 miles will be challenging. And like Dr. Piña mentioned, having proper enough water, enough electrolytes, being pretty well fed to make sure you can finish strong is very, very important. So my encouragement to everyone is take advantage of the practices we're doing right now, the marathon practices, the mileage. Get those miles in. See how you can plan and strategize your race. It's not going to be perfect. Sometimes the plans don't fall the way you want them, but you need to plan so that at least you have a strategy going in when you get to this race. And pretty much, like I said, the 6 miles are a tough little period, but if you plan it and strategize it, you should be good.
So you get to the last 400 meters, and what I'm gonna do, because it's done, I have my marathon, I have my medal, I can see it. This is the moment where you need to have all your energy. It's the moment where you need to look for the family, for friends. Most likely you're gonna forget about everybody for sure, but it's the moment where you have to be ready for the last video, for the last photo. It's the moment where many people's gonna cry. People is gonna be, it's done. I'm done it. I have it. I have my medal. So just enjoy that moment. The last 4 meters of the marathon. I don't know what's gonna happen. It's different for anyone. The first one I really enjoy. I don't know, when I came, I just was like in slow motion. I didn't know when I hit the entrance of. I remember my video that like I got it, but I didn't got it, and then I walked. It was like some kind of crazy, I didn't know what happened, but I just did it. The second one, I was walking, running. I have a situation at that moment. Chico, my son, died, so we needed to do it. We were not trained at all. We just do it, walk and run, and then I remember I cried a lot because it was special for me, that one. And then the last one, Karina just took off and she left me. She's just gone crazy. And I finished just using my Galloway style. I just walked and ran, and then I saw Annie, and I went, behind Annie, and I didn't follow her, and I just got there and enjoyed at the end. And then you're gonna have 1 mile or two just to get ready and prepare yourself. And it's those last 2 miles after you get your medals is critical, because it's for healing. After you finish, if you have the capacity to walk and relax, you're gonna have less hurt, accident, pain, any fainting, or any kind of medical difficulty that you can have. It can be prevented at the end when you have to walk. So walking at the end, 1 mile or two, is good until you get to your family and friends and things like that. Something that helped me out a lot, it's like instead of going to Mount Vernon and walking and running and getting for the taxi or the car, what we did, we rented a hotel close to the finish line. It was easy just to go there, relax, just have some eating, have some massage, go to the showers. It was excelente cuando ya tú ves las 4 últimas millas y tú dices, estás preparado, estás ahí. Es planificar toda tu energía, va a ir la familia, la gente, te van a dar la medalla. Es bueno para que tú todo lo que tú tengas lo puedas dar en esas 200 metros. Y luego la milla 2 que queda para caminar es bueno para recuperarte el cuerpo. En el caso de nosotros alquilamos un hotel cerca, no tuvimos que viajar ni caminar con todos los calambres, sino que pudimos descansar un grupito pequeño. Eso también resulta mucho, ¿no? Muchos de la gente internacional viene y se queda en los grandes hoteles que están alrededor de Central Park, y ellos simplemente caminan con su poncho, pero se quedan en lugares especiales y no tienen que hacer tanto esfuerzo. O sea que también eso se puede planificar, y tú lo puedes pensar en una inversión de 100, 200, 300 dólares que vale la pena tenerlo. Los hoteles, obviamente, todos están llenos en esa época. Pero es bueno, digamos, que esa última milla, esa entrar, cómo tú vas a entrar, que tú lo tengas consciente, that you can think about how I'm going to hit the 26.2 mile, how do I get my medal, and what's going to happen after, that you have it now, that you can think about it. Andy?
Yeah, for me, the last mile was exciting. I was in a lot of my legs were locking and I was in some pain, but I made a commitment that I was going to finish this race running regardless. I was going to make sure that last mile I was going to finish standing up. And I had my family there right before, maybe about a mile before the finish line. My mom was there, my daughters, I had some friends there cheering me on. And when I got to the finish line, it was emotional for me because prior to doing the marathon, I couldn't conceive of how people could actually do a marathon. Like, how can a person do 26 miles, go through all the 5 boroughs, and run these miles? There was a time that I couldn't see how someone would even want to do that. But to be able to finish that race and to be at that finish line and to get that medal was extremely emotional for me. I was extremely happy to receive it. I finished something that a lot of people, most people around the world never get to do. I did it in the most exciting city in the world, New York City, which is like the best place to do a marathon. I mean, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people running this race, not only from the country, but around the world. And it is very, very exciting. I mean, even when the beginning, when they do the cannon blast, like before the race starts, that's exciting. I mean, that sound of that explosion to go on that race, that's incredible. But the finish was great. I mean, I guess when I finished the race, I had no more legs. I still had to walk. I was staying at my daughter's house, which is on 87th Street in Amsterdam. So I had to walk that. And I guess that was my little recovery to get the lactic acid out of my system, I guess. But I had no more legs. I mean, I couldn't even, I was crawling up the stairs. I couldn't, it was hard. It was really hard. But when I got home, I got to relax, but I was in a lot of pain. My legs were gone. But I was extremely emotional. I was excited that I finished this race. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Good. So this is it, guys. La ruta del maratón, las técnicas, las cosas que tiene que hacer, las diferentes partes, como las estrategias que tiene que hacer en la carrera completa, cómo tiene que prepararlo, es lo que hemos discutido ahora en lo que es CORREA Creativos, multideportes, correr, nadar y bicicleta. Ahora lo que es la ruta del maratón. Recuerda que es parte 1 de las primeras 2 millas ya en el Verrazano Bridge. La parte 2 son de la milla 3 a las 15 en el Brooklyn, Queens, la fiesta, una fiesta, un party, un block party. Y luego la parte 3, que es la parte, digamos, de la primera avenida, que es la milla 16 a la 20, 4 millas. Y entonces allá al Bronx es donde está la vaina, el muro. Y los últimos 6.2, que son de la milla 20 a la milla 26, cuando te vas a la primera avenida, a la quinta avenida, y luego entrar a Central Park, el final y las caminatas después que consigues lo que es tu maratón. Así que tu medalla de maratón. Así que muchísimas gracias por estar ahí con nosotros. I'm going to thank Andy for just participating, giving his experience in terms of the routes of the marathon and how important to know each part of the routes as I explain it. That's the best way that I can do it, that I can see it. You can visualize it all the time and you can know what you're going to do in each one, how you're going to pace, what kind of technique, strategy you're going to use. It's important for you to know about that. So thank you, Andy, and then see you next time. I'm going to be here on Thursday. Y bye-bye a todos y esperamos que estén ahí, que compartan la información que tenemos y que nos hagan preguntas, digamos, cada vez que puedan hacerlo a través de Facebook, los canales a los que llegamos. Andy.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Piña. And thank everybody here for listening. And I hope you got something out of this. If any of you that are listening have some questions and like some additional answers or other comments, please let us know. We'll be more than happy to help you through that. Thank you so much for everything, and I was glad to be here.
Good. Así que nos vemos, gente, y bye bye. Gracias a todos los que nos han acompañado y muchas buenas noches. Bye bye.